Hello my beautiful darlings, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Andres, and if you're hooked on books and stitches, you've come to the right place. Today is the commencement of a little series that I'm doing here on my channel. It's just going to be a 3-part series, nothing too crazy, but I just want to talk about the best and worst books of 2025 that I read, and then I want to finalize this series with a little bookish awards ceremony that I'm gonna go ahead and call the Hookies. So yeah, this is part 1, and if you can't already tell from the title, we're going to talk about the worst books that I read in 2025. I don't want to label them as the worst books because obviously it's not going to be the worst book maybe in your opinion. These are just all of my own opinions, so I'm labeling it instead as the most disappointing books of 2025. I definitely want to start off by saying that just please keep in mind that these are my thoughts, my opinions, and these are my own judgments on these books. This is not in any way, shape, or form to degrade the author, to actually talk like any crap about the book or any of the sorts. It's just that these books particularly did not work for me in some type of way, and that's why they ended up being in this list for me. So what may work for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So let's get into it. So I am going through my list here. I do have a list that I wrote down, but I'm also reviewing all the books that I read on my Fable app for the just in case, to make sure I have everything written down correctly. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from the very beginning of the year and work my way all the way up to December. So it's gonna be in chronological order. It's not gonna be like, you know, a tier rank of a sorts. So the very first book that I have here on my list is quite the controversial take, most likely, but it's gonna be Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I know, like please, like don't come for me already. But honestly, really this book was like way too long-winded for me. Like there were so many things that could have maybe been cut out or shortened in the book that I felt like it took me a month and a half. I started it here on January 8th and I finished it February 12th. It should not take me that long to read a book, guys. Like I know that it was like a 700+ page book, whatever the case is, but when you guys see in my best books tomorrow, you will see that there is a 700+ page book there that I read a lot faster. So do that with what you will. But yeah, starting off strong as my first most disappointing book of 2025 was Iron Flame. Don't get me wrong, the book was good. There was a lot of important pivotal things that happened in the book that I really did enjoy. It's just that it was way too long for me. There was a lot of things that I felt like were dragged on for too long. And that was it. That's the only reason. But it still ended up with a 3-star from me, which, to go ahead and give you some background, 3-star rating for me is not like a horrible rating. I know that in the book community, there's a lot of people that feel that if you rate 3 stars, like, oh my god, the book sucked, like he did not like it. Like that's not the case. It's really not the case for me. 3 stars is just average for me. Like I may have enjoyed it to a certain extent, but not all the way like I thought I would. The second book I have on my list for most disappointing is If She's Found by Alicia Dakima, or Dakima. I'm not sure how to say her last name, I'm sorry. But this one I rated 2.5 stars, and specifically my review that I wrote was way too slow the entire time to then be incredibly rushed at the end and have such a convoluted ending as well. The whole story just felt very disjointed all over the place. There was no clear focus, and the plot twist was not as heavy-hitting as I hoped it to be. And when it comes to thriller books, I really do enjoy more of like a popcorn thriller where I kind of just want to keep going and keep turning the pages and keep finding out the next thing that's going to happen. This book was not like that at all, unfortunately. There was a lot of just mumbo jumbo throughout most of it, and then at the end, all of a sudden, there was this big plot twist that kind of didn't really make sense, and then the book was over. Okay, the third one that I have on this list is Credence by Penelope Douglas. Guys, I don't even want to go into this book. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I want to literally erase it from my mind for the rest of my days. Like, I'm a dark romance fan. I like to read dark romance, but that was not the dark romance I like to read. I'm sorry, con excuse me. I did not like that one. I did not enjoy it. I literally was rage hate reading that book. Like, there was a point where I really wanted to DNF it, but I was already so invested and so deep into it. I was like, let me just hate read this at this point, because it was so frustrating that I got so far into the book and we were like, like I said, I don't want to get into it, but that was definitely, it might be the number one most disappointing one for me this entire year. The next one is Under Your Scars by Ariel N. Anderson. Now, this is also a dark romance, and you guys might be thinking, Andres, are you really a dark romance fan? Because this is the second one that you have on your most disappointing books of 2025 list. Well, to be quite frank, I am still a fan of dark romance, but again, this one took such a dark and twisted turn. Like, I like dark and twisted in the sense of like the Legacy of Gods by Rena Kent series. That is the type of dark and twisted dark romance I like. But this one, Under Your Scars, that was way too much for me. Like, please definitely check trigger warnings if you are gonna read this book for any reason. You know, it really is, it has a good plot. It had a very good beginning that I enjoyed, but since I dealt with someone similar to the male main character and his mental health dilemmas that were represented in the book, since I dealt with someone like him, it was very, very triggering for me, and I had a very hard time like seeing this girl kind of go through very similar things that I went through, that I really couldn't fathom doing that. And this is another one that I kind of just like went through it and still read through it because it was also part of a book club that I'm in, so I didn't want to just DNF it and not be able to discuss it with the girls. But I really, when I look back on it, I should have DNF'd it. But like I said, please always check your trigger warnings before you get into books, especially this one, because this one is really, really triggering. The next one on my list is Graveyard Shift by Emma Rio. I really to this day, I'm still confused. Straight up, this book was like, if this book would have been fleshed out into a full-length novel instead of a novella, I feel like it could have had much more potential. But since it was so cut and so like quick with everything, it just didn't really like connect with me at like any point. Like, I did not connect with the story, with none of the characters. Like, I understood the premise and like where it was going, but at the end of the book, I was kind of like, okay, what was this for? Like, I want to read you guys my review that I left on it on Fable, because a lot of people actually agreed with me, and I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because this is crazy, guys. So I put, quite the unhinged opinion. I was bored the entire time. I really was, guys. And I was reading this book during a time that unfortunately my grandma had passed away, so I was more like on the downside and I was kind of depressed. But I was trying to read horror books because it was getting close to spooky season already, but it did not hit. It really did not hit. And then the last most disappointing book that I have on the list here is Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This book was so disappointing for me, unfortunately. This was a book that I was super excited about. I was anticipating it. I was dying to read it since it came out, but I was trying to wait for spooky season to read it, and I just never got around to it until this year. And I was recommended to immersive read it. So I got the audiobook and I had the physical book and I was immersive reading, and it still did not hit. It was not creepy. There was no scary aspects, and I feel like what really made the book not scary for me was that it was told from the little girl's point of view. And you would think that if a story is being told from a little child's point of view, it would be creepier, right? No, it was not. It was so simplistic. There was no depth to it. I connected with none of the characters. The story, yes, it was like, the story and the premise makes you think that it's gonna be a scary book, but it turned out to not be a scary book. It turned out to be just about a bunch of family drama and about divorcing and cheating and all of these things, which are very common tropes in horror movies and stories. But it didn't work out. It did not work out for me, unfortunately. And that one actually is my lowest rated one of the year for me, which I rated it 2 stars. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of my most disappointing books of 2025, and let's talk about my DNFs of the year. So I had 5 DNFs this year, which is not that much because so far, because we're not done with the year just yet, but I've read 72 books so far. The first one that I DNF'd was Thank You Next by Andy J. Christopher, I believe it is. This one, I was reading it for a 24-hour reading challenge that I'll go ahead and link up above and down below for you guys. But yeah, this one, it just, wow, like there was nothing, it was giving nothing. The way that the story was developing and the way that it was being told, I literally could not do it. I was upset the whole time, so I just DNF'd it. I'm pretty sure that I DNF'd it like around the 30% mark, which I know is a little early, but I literally got to the point where they started on the road trip and I forgot what was said or what exactly happened on the road trip, where I was like, yeah, I'm done. The next one that I DNF'd was The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami. This is a sci-fi book, and I've been telling myself this because I think I've already tried maybe 3 sci-fi books this year that I really did not connect with, or whatever the case is. And I guess I'm just not a sci-fi girly, I don't know. But with The Dream Hotel, what really made me DNF it was that it was so confusing for me. Like, I understood the premise of everyone had a certain risk assessment score of a sense, and if you surpass that threshold, you get placed into this dream hotel place so you could reduce the score or whatever the case is. That premise sounded interesting to me. But then as the story was developing and the female main character got pulled by the Department of Homeland Security or whatever the case is, when they started assessing her and doing all of, I don't know. It was just too confusing, and I don't want to have to put so much brain power sometimes into the books that I'm reading. So maybe it was just I was at a point where I didn't have the brain power or the swords, I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. I gotta give sci-fi more of a chance, I'm not gonna lie. I know that Project Hail Mary is probably the biggest one that everyone's obsessed with, as well as Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I haven't given those a try yet, and maybe that is more of the sector of sci-fi that I would enjoy. But again, I'm so privy to sci-fi that I'm tiptoeing to get there to read those books. Hype me up in the comments if you think I should read either Red Rising or Project Hail Mary so I could prioritize that next year for 2026. Just keep in mind, I'm not the biggest sci-fi person, so don't hype me up if you don't think I'm gonna like it. The next one that I DNF'd is The Last Party by A.R. Torre. I want to say that it's more of a soft DNF for me because it was very interesting and I was really into it. It was just, I was at a point where I was not in a thriller mood because I use thriller books more of as a palate cleanser. So I don't know. I got to the 50% mark and I was still interested, but I was like, you know what? Let me just put it away for now because I'm not really into it right now. And here I am, literally 6 months later, and I still haven't gotten back to it. So I know that A.R. Torre is a very good author, but again, I want to maybe go back to it at a time where I feel like I'm ready for a palate cleanser, maybe after a very heavy fantasy read or something like that. Maybe that would be the best point. If you have read The Last Party by A.R. Torre, definitely please let me know in the comments and hype me up because I do want to get back to it. That's why I'm saying it's a soft DNF. It's a very soft DNF. I'll get back to it. The fourth book that I DNF'd this year is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And this one honestly was very shocking to me. I was so disappointed that I had to DNF this. And the biggest reason why I DNF'd this book is the writing style. You guys, that writing style was atrocious. I literally felt like I could not focus on one single detail that was happening because it was we were inside of the narrator's mind, but the narrator's mind was going in all different directions at every single point, and it was so unfocused. I couldn't deal with it. It was frustrating me to no avail. So yeah, I DNF'd it, I unhauled it, it's gone, good riddance, never again. And then the last book that I DNF'd this year that's probably gonna get me so much hate, but it's okay because I'm here to express my opinions and my thoughts on the books that I've read this year or DNF'd, and you guys are not here to judge me. But that book was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I DNF'd Bride at like the 67% mark, I think it was, because I couldn't do it anymore. The romance, I just did not connect with the romance in the way that I thought I would. I really thought that I would really enjoy this one. I really enjoyed like the beginning and the world building, but when we started to get into the romance between, I believe it's Lo and Misery, I did not see any connection there. I really just did not. I didn't even get to a spicy chapter, guys. I can't even imagine if I didn't like their beginning, like of their romance, I don't think I would have liked the spicy chapters either. But there you have it, guys. Those are my most disappointing books of 2025. I know I probably have a lot of controversial takes on here, but nonetheless, like I said in the beginning, these are my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions. Stay tuned for day 2 tomorrow of my best books of 2025. That's gonna be a real fun one. And then on day 3, which is the last day of this series, is going to be the Hookies, which is my first annual book awards that I'm gonna go ahead and do on my channel. I'm super excited for you guys to see it. Make sure to give me a like, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you're notified when I post the next video, which will be tomorrow. And with that, my beautiful darlings, let's get hooked.